Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's so good to be here with you today. I am Bernadete Leal, and we are here with Sembradores de Luz. And let's talk a little bit about Sembradores de Luz. We are 100% virtual group. And our goal is to help you, to educate, to inspire you with some spiritual, moral resources. And you just have to go to our website, sembradoresluz.org, and you'll find amazing material for parents, educators, children, teenagers, or maybe you at home want to be a volunteer. So just send us email through our website, and we have lots of things for you to do. And the best is that since we are virtual, you can help us right there at home, and we are very grateful. So before we start our topic, we would like to introduce our two guests. Today we have Sílvia and Dan Assisi. Good morning or good afternoon, good evening. Hello. How are you guys doing?
I'm good, thank you. Good afternoon. I say good afternoon because it's 6 o'clock already here where I am in London.
So you are in
good
London?
Afternoon, everyone.
Yes.
It's already 6 o'clock, but it's still day until 10 o'clock. It'll be daylight, so it'll be fine. So nice to be with you again and to everyone who will be joining us.
Yes, it's not the first time we have this amazing guests here with us, Sembradores de Luz. And before we start, would you please introduce and talk a little bit about yourself, even though I know you, I love you guys. But we might have some people there that is the first time that they have the pleasure to meet you. So Dan, can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Hey everyone, good morning. I am not in London, even though it's a beautiful place right now, but I'm really excited to be with all of you. I'm here in San Diego. I really love Spiritism. I think it has changed the way I think about life and everything else. So it's always great to talk about this. And whenever I can, I get a chance to, to talk to people about the immortality of the soul, whether it's in talks, in study groups, or through writing, I take it. So I'm very excited to be here. You can always find me on social media if you want to connect, but I'm just really thrilled to talk about an important topic today. So I don't know what would be interesting for people out there to really know about me, other than I'm super excited about our conversation today.
Awesome. What about you, Sílvia?
Well, yes, as I said, I live in London. I'm a member of, I have a group that I coordinate, 𝗀𝗵𝗵𝗺𝗁 Society, here in England. And one of the collaborators in the Sembradores de Luz. I'm British, I do some work. I work in help out in other groups, so give lectures, studies, so I'm involved in the Spiritist movement here in England for quite some time now. I started a long time ago. So we, was a very, very small group of about 5-6 people. And today there is 17, 18 groups around London and some other place. So there is lots of people, in Scotland, in Wales, and some parts of England. So it's growing. The movement is growing. So it's lovely to be here with you, joining in and, feel connected with people on the other side, but we're doing the same work, which make us feel like, we are connected. So it's good.
It's good.
So she froze.
And Bernadette, you might be freezing, but how are you? I know you are not freezing because you're in San Diego. You're not that far away from me.
No.
Can you hear us?
I'm right. Diego, beautiful. It's and the best starting my day with you. This is the best thing now. So I'm doing good. I'm volunteer with this centers in San Diego. There's about of them. So I'm sometimes joining their activities and events. But what I really do is work directly with the Zulus. And I'm very grateful as I volunteer and help every day. I'm learning something. And today, I'm sure I'm going to learn more and more. That's the thing about us. We never learning. And today, that is a very interesting topic. We talk about medium. And I know in this we talk a lot about that. And not everybody is aware of what it is. Some it's like being a psychic. How is it? So start with you, then later, Sylvia, if you want to add. In general, right? What is mediumship? And does it happen at home? Do we see this happening every day out there in our home with our families? And then later we go deeper if we see this in children. But Daniel, what is mediumship? Please help us understand.
Hi, Bea. It is a great question. It's one that we get very much almost every day these days because mediumship is everywhere. Mediumship is everywhere. Mediumship is nothing else but the capability or the ability for us to perceive the spiritual. It is a natural and ability, much like any different kinds of intelligence, of capacities that we have, that all of us have. All of us can perceive the spiritual world. The difference is that some of us can do it a little bit more than others. So some of us are aware of what's going on the spiritual side more than others. But that also means that we can be influenced by the spiritual world. And so mediumship is the ability to perceive that influence. And all of us have it in different ways. Much the same way that some of us are really good with math. And some of us are really good with spatial thinking, like directions, and some of us are not. We all have the ability. It's just how much it is developed in us. And so it's no surprise then that if we all have it, and we have it all the time, because it's something that's inherent into us, that it will show itself in different places. And home and the family is no exception, because home and the family is where we spend a lot of time. And so it's normal for us to see this, especially when we're beginning to understand how mediumship works and what it is, because still many of us are not really aware that we all have, an opportunity to understand this, that they may display itself in the home, right? So yes, we are able to sense the spiritual world, and others around us can too. You might have maybe noticed that sometimes that people go into different places or talk to different people and they feel different vibes. They feel affected by it or not so much. Or they change a little bit all of a sudden from, being really happy to perhaps not being so happy. So it can help. It can happen anywhere. We should not be truly worried about this. It's something that, it's influence. It's just like we influence each other. Just much the same way that when you have friends, you act with your friends. You go around and you hang out with them, and they influence you. They change your thinking. The only difference is that sometimes we're being influenced by folks we cannot see. But we should not be worried. It happens at home. It happens everywhere. It happens on the street. It happens at work. It happens at school. And it's just important for us to know that it's happening so that we can be always in control of our actions and our thoughts. So getting to know ourselves is an important part of mediumship, just to realize when is it that we're being influenced, whether it's by something that is invisible, whether it's by social media, whether it's by our friend next door. It's always great for us to continue to develop our critical thinking, and I think Spiritism does that really well, for us to decide what is it that we want to do with all these influences that we're having. So be not worried about it. It happens everywhere, and it's just normal.
Interesting. I was just sharing with Sylvia that the last 3 days, I went to a teacher's conference in Las Vegas, which was very cool. I learned so much, but my room was very far from the conference wall, and I had to cross the casino. And I did like 4 times a day, you know. By the second day, when I got to my room, I had no energy. I was feeling negative. I go, this is the Uber, the spiritual Uber that Daniel talks to us, which you can tell us what it means. But I didn't freak out or anything. I went to my room, did some breathing. I read something positive, did some, healing and imagine a light. And then after a while, I was full of energy. I said, you know what? Time for dinner. I'm full of energy again, which I love that you said. Don't be afraid. It's not a big deal. We recognize, but it's important to learn and educate ourselves, learn some tools, and move on. I'm sure that you are home. You've been through that. You've been in a situation that went to a room, and when you left, you don't feel good about it, or you have some ideas that come to your mind, and we're going to go deeper into this. So Sylvia, is there anything that you would like to add about this question?
No, I mean, Dan gave so an explanation so well. It's just, as you say, it's not something to be afraid of, because we are all mediums. It's inherent in the human beings to be a medium. So what we call mediums are the ones who have an ostensive and more open mediumship, but we are all mediums. So, shouldn't fear that you already are, because I think another point that's important to understand is mediumship is physical, it's part of your body. How you're born is already part of you. So there is no need to fear, and just embrace it, because it can be wonderful. That's all, really.
Yeah, and also adding to that first question, sometimes, since we all are mediums, could it be at times you have some unbalanced mediumship? Like because I study spiritism and I know some tools and techniques, as soon as I notice and I'm losing my energy, let me do something, right? What happens if somebody doesn't have the knowledge or learn the tools? What do you suggest?
Do you want to say that, or do you want me to start?
It's up to you, my friend. Do you want to dive in first, or you want me to do it?
No, yes, okay. I think it's interesting, because this question you're giving us, because Dr. Marlene Nobre, in her book, The Gift of Mediumship, in her introduction, she says, I'm just going to read this. She said, if you have certain symptoms like tachycardia, body shivers, crying without a reason, or laughing too much without a reason, if everything irritates you, if you feel exaggerated feeling of being sleepy, if you have night terrors, body aches that there is no reason for, or sense of panic also, you get scared and you don't know why you're getting scared. That is, where you are, it doesn't call to be scared, or exaggerate joyfulness and everything. If you have any one or two of those symptoms, and if you've been to the doctor, that's important, I think. Being to the doctor, and there is no physical reason to feel any of those things, which can be, quite constant in your life, is because you are a medium. It's as simple as that, really. An ostensive medium, because intuition, all that, we sense things, is all part of us already. All of us have that. But so you have this, sensations and differences as well. And but mediumship does not cause a mental illness. It doesn't, unless the person is already has already within them, they have already within them the possibility of having a mental illness. But mediumship by itself does not cause it. Although sometimes, before you know how you are feeling and this kind of humor and depression and all that, you may feel that there is a problem. And I think you mentioned something, Bernadette, is a question of studying. It's because I think one thing I always find important for everyone to understand is that mediumship is part of who you are. It's a kind of talent that you have. It's like being a painter or a musician. You can learn about music, and only very few will be great musicians, concert musicians or great painters. So in mediumship, in ostensive mediumship, you have there are so many different types of mediumship, and it's all part of us. And like a talent, you need to educate it. We need to study about it. So if we study and if we can actually control it, we can educate how we use it, because it's not something that you use all the time. You have to have your own life. And mediumship is something that is an extra thing that you give on your free time to work in mediumship groups or whatever other study you do. But something to be educated. It's something to be, so you know what it is, you know how to use it, and there is less possibility. The more you know about it, the more you study about it, the less possibility you have of having negative influences. Although we know that we live in a world, like you were saying, you were going to a conference and in a place that was draining your energy, but you knew how to do it. You said a few prayers, you meditated, and that's how you do the mediumship, because we have a lot of spiritual influences around us, good and bad. And it is the influence that we have around us will be determined by our thoughts, our actions, the words we do. And I think that's something is important, because you can absolutely control. It's not something that takes you over, and it's important really too. And I think one of the reasons that we are having this conversation today, so people can be aware of what they can do, even though
But
Silvia,
you said something really important. You said it's important, like my example, I educate myself, I learn the techniques, but I'm an adult, right? I'm grateful that I learned about this in my early 20s, and by now I'm getting a little bit better at it. It's a working process, right? But you know what? What do we do when we have children at home? They don't know much about this, and they have nightmares when they say, I see spirits, or they don't even know if that is spirits. They hear things and they are freaking out because they are not sure what's going on. But also there are kids, they are so sensitive that it becomes part of their lives. I'm a parent, my child is crying, saying, I see spirits, I hear things, and even though we take to the doctor, to the psychologist, girl, what do I do? Or Dan, you both dive into that question.
That is a great question, right? Because it's like we talked about, it is a normal ability, it's a normal process of life. All of us are mediums to different degrees. Sometimes we use the word medium, as Silvia was mentioning, to mean people who have like a developed sense of mediumship. And we forget that everybody has that sense of mediumship, but we call these people with extensive mediumship mediums. And the rest of us, we think we're not mediums, but we are mediums. So it's an awesome opportunity for us just think about mediumship, because we also need to educate our children. They also need to learn about this because it's a natural part of life. Now, I have 2 kids. I don't talk with them about mediumship every day. I really don't. They're little. They are 12 and 7 right now. And I am very fortunate in the sense that we have not had to deal with difficult mediumship situations at home or with children. So with that in mind, when that it takes the case, because that is not happening, I really talk to them about spirituality, life after life, the immortality of the soul, reincarnation, in a way that is age appropriate. We don't sit down and say, let's go talk about reincarnation now, kid. Let's go over the philosophical reasons behind, it's just not age appropriate. However, when we do have cases, and they're a little bit more rare, of children who begin to sense and see things, then it makes sense for us to talk about the spiritual world. Like, for instance, I think we all remember this. All of us, and especially children, they generally are afraid of the dark. They might worry sometimes that somebody at night might be looking at them, or seeing them, or they want you to close that, the closet door because they're afraid of a boogeyman or whatever it is.
Mhm.
These are natural pieces. And for me, is the beginning of an awareness, spiritually speaking, that there may be other people around us, right? And so we talk with them that you're safe, that you are in control. This is, I think, where we always start with these conversations. But if they go into a place where they are literally sensing, hearing, and seeing things in a much more extensive way, right? Then we really have to have the conversation about, listen, we are all immortal spirits, and some of us can sense and see others, and it's okay. And we're going to be okay because there is God. God loves us. God's in control of us. And we start to talk about how can we support each other so that we can feel safe at home? How can we control that ability? And what is it that we can do to make sure that we are not always interacting with the people that we might be seeing or sensing at home, right? And how to deal with that. So it's a very important conversation, because we know too that as we put our spiritual glasses on, kids are nothing but immortal souls themselves too. The only difference is that they come in small sizes, and that makes them really cute. And we generally, from an intuition, instinct perspective, actually, we think that we need to protect them or not tell them, but we need to slowly break that idea to them, because they are developing. And in their developing an emotional, intellectual maturing process, they need to learn about this, right? The good news is that most children, until about the age of 8, 9, 10, 7, 8, 9, 10, don't really, right, are not really fully cognitive of what's going on from a spiritual perspective. There's sort of like a little bit of a protection for them to kind of like get settled into their bodies and figure things out. After that, after 7, 8 years of age, it becomes more natural for us to see kids beginning to develop this awareness that we call mediumship, right? So in most cases, we don't need to talk about, mediumship with kids at a really early age, unless they have curiosity about it, then we talk about that. But in a place where, in a case where it's happening at home, and it's really extensive or ostensive, and that we can sense that there is a challenge there, then we absolutely need to talk and explain. And we can absolutely ask for help. And we should absolutely talk about the power of prayer. And here's an important thing, I'll shut up after this, that we often forget. We always talk about mediumship, we always worried about the influence others may have on us. And that means that we're always worried about somebody's going to influence us negatively. But we forget that we're also being influenced in a positive way. Our spiritual mentors, our guardian angels, sometimes we call them, God, the people that we care about, they all want us to evolve. So we also need to make space for positive influence in our lives, so that we can also see and participate in great, wonderful moments. So prayer is a great way of elevating our mind, keeping our sense of health overall, reading great and uplifting things, taking a moment to enjoy beautiful music that elevates the soul. Whatever it is that makes you be in a great spot will help you have also these positive influences. We don't talk about positive influences enough. We're always worried about the negative, right?
So we turn the TV and always see these negative things, and it's bombarding us, and of course our energy goes down. But there's a lot of good things happening.
Yes. Let's change the channel, right? We literally want to change the channel when that happens, right? Sometimes you want to listen to the news and know what's going on, sure, but don't stay just there the whole day. It affects your mood. It affects the way you feel, right?
Absolutely. So I don't know. I don't see Silvia right now, but I don't know if she can hear us or she will be bad.
I can hear and see you, but I've noticed that I'm no longer there with you. I cannot see me,
It's
but
like
I can
mediumship,
hear you.
Sylvia. It's like mediumship. We can't see you,
Exactly.
but we can hear
I
you.
don't
We
know.
can sense that you're there.
Maybe that's
I don't know.
by mistake. There is that little camera on the bottom icon.
The little camera. Yes, it is on. It's just that for some reason it just went. I mean, it's been happening. I don't know if it's my computer, but if you can see me, I can hear
We can
you.
hear you.
And can you hear me?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay,
Clear.
so it's okay. Then afterwards, I'll try to. I don't know what's happened. It's been happening lately.
Sylvia,
but
you have.
Were you asking me something? Sorry.
Okay, Sylvia, I have a question. You have grandchildren, don't you?
No, I don't.
No,
I don't have
it's my other
children. No.
friend. Yeah, but
I have lots of friends who
children.
had children, and I used to take them out and go to museums and take them to
Cool.
concerts and stuff. So I do with children a
So
lot.
let's put this scenario here. A child comes to you, it could be from your family, from a spirit center, and it's scared, says, every time I go to bed, I see something. I see somebody coming, sitting on my bed and is talking to me. And I'm scared. I don't know what to do. What could we say? Oh, putting everybody on the spot. What if your child comes or a parent comes and talk to you? My child is saying that all the time, and I don't know what to do. What could we tell to the parent to help?
I think it is. It's interesting that this question that you ask, because normally there are children, and I think so, one of the explanations in the Medium's book is that there are children who have already a normal ability from a very, very early age. They already ostensive mediums, and if you think about 𝗀𝗫𝗃 and 𝗪𝗵𝗁, and there is I think 𝗂𝗵𝗶𝗃𝗺, in her book Recordações da Mediunidade, Remembering Mediumship, she talks about, she used to go to the cemetery and she sees all the people there, sitting in their tomb, and she was never afraid, because she used to talk to them normally, because she was clairvoyant and really, really clairvoyant. So she was never afraid, because for her was natural. I mean, when you hear 𝗍𝗪𝗏 talking about things, he used to say, that he used to see his grandma and he talked to her, and he only had problems when he used to tell his mother and she got really annoyed, isn't it? Until she realized through a sister that he was actually seeing her. So for children who see them, for them is natural. They, unless they see something that's not nice or ugly or something, they will feel afraid. But it's quite common, because I think Dan was saying before, until the age of that we are about from birth and to 6, 7, 8, most children are more connected to the spiritual world than with this world. So it's quite easy for them to manipulate both worlds. And when I was sort of reading and thinking about the questions that we were going to talk today, I was thinking about me. And from a very, very early age, I always had lots of friends, but there was a time I always wanted to be by myself. And I had lots of friends, I had friends. I talked to people all the time, and I never thought about it. Now, just looking back, that I probably had all these invisible people around that nobody else saw. But I saw it. For me, it was natural to be around them, which is, and I think this is one of the things. If your child says that they see, they have people around them, and you don't see them, one of the things is not to work, try to not get them isolated. because they, as is natural for them, they may be calling their spiritual friends, and they really need to be in this world. Then, like Dan said, you talk to them and explain to them there is nothing to be afraid of. And also, I think one of the things that it's better if a child is saying things, is seeing lights and all. It's good to take them to a doctor, to a pediatrician as well, because it might be something physical. And this is important because not everything is mediumship. So, if your child is saying a lot of things, take them to the doctor, check if that's not a physical problem that they are having. And then you can talk to them and explain. And also, I think one of the main things is to listen to the children, because they will be telling you things. And normally, I find that sometimes parents get very scared. It's not the children that are scared, that the parents that are scared.
Yeah.
And because also, children have a lot of memory from past lives. And that's another thing that people get scared, and the parents get scared. So the thing is not to be, oh no, don't think about it. This doesn't exist. No, listen to what the child is telling you, pay attention and try to encourage them, and what you say, what happened, because then you also know what they're saying without being judgmental, saying, no, that's no good, doesn't exist, forget about it. Because sometimes, I've known parents who, she had a son of 15, and she said, oh, don't forget about it. It doesn't exist. And her son was surrounded by a different world. And he became quite depressed because he was so dismissed, for what he was saying. And for him, it was a reality. So I think this is very important, not to be dismissive or judgmental, and try to listen to the child and say what they are saying. And then you can explain, there is another world. I think the difficulty is because, we are talking here, we are all spiritists. You are infused with the most wonderful teachings there is in the world. But for the parents out there who are not spiritists or don't have a lot of idea about mediumship or spirituality, because that's one of the things. Mediumship has nothing to do if you believe, if you don't believe, if you accept, if you have a religion who does not accept any of that, isn't it? And so it's but I think listening to your child and seeing what's happening to them without judgment. And if you need to go to someone to talk to, a psychologist, or if you have a religion, go to the religious person and talk to them about it. But I think it's to really trust the child and give them that you are there with them, that you're supporting them and you're listening to what they say. I feel that this is a very important point for parents to do, and not to be, dismissive. You two have children, so you may have more ideas than I do.
Can hear Dan. Dan?
Oh, can you hear me?
Oh,
All
yes.
right.
Go ahead.
Nothing like me touching buttons here without knowing what I'm doing.
There you go.
I was saying, Silvia, this is such a great point. You make such a great point that it's important for us to think about, which is, kids pick up a lot of their cues from their parents. They model what we do. So if we are afraid to talk about a topic, or if we're worried about a topic, they will pick up the cue that they should too. They should be afraid of that. They should not talk about that. So it's so important for us to listen to them. And you know what? Which is really great too, and we're not really in the habit of doing, is we can tell our children that we don't know. That we don't know what's going on, that we don't know exactly how it works. But we can find out together, and we can model that idea of, let's go learn about this. What do you think? Right? And then bring other people that might be more aware of that. Maybe you can go to a spiritist group and they can help you understand mediumship if you're not familiar with it. Maybe you can read a little bit. Maybe you can go talk to somebody else. And these are wonderful things that we should bring into our family practice, right? Into the habit of just having those conversations, like Silvia said, and really continue to explore topics in general. And that also works not only for mediumship, but anything else out there. Parents are not the authority on all things. Kids, when they're young, they think the parents know everything, and that's normal. But it's a wonderful process for us to begin to train them to know that while they should look to parents for advice, it's very okay for parents to model this idea of like, you know what, I don't have a great answer for you just yet. Let's work on this together.
Right. And I like that Sylvia also mentioned about the past lives, that kids still when they're young, they remember their past lives. And I remember when I was teaching kindergarten, and this boy is 5-year-old, so I gave him a whiteboard and we were writing letters, right? And everything. And at the end I say, okay, you get now, that's the favorite part. They don't want to write, but when I say 5 minutes of free drawing, woo, it's a party. So he got the whiteboard erased and he was drawing, and I came back and he drew his grave in the cemetery. And I go, honey, tell me about your picture. And another assistant saw that and go, oh, it's a spooky. Oh my gosh, this child is crazy, quickly judging. And I said, all right, tell me about it. What you got here? And said, that's me. That's where I was buried. And I said, oh, you did? I go, yeah, but I'm not there anymore. You see me? I go, I see you. And he was telling about his life, what he did. And we had this wonderful conversation, normal, where the reaction of what the teacher was, oh no, there's something wrong with this boy. Mm-hmm. And how beautiful it is when we have the knowledge. I could just say something mean, you were crazy, erase, but we went to this full conversation. And when he said, I am here, I was here, but I'm not there anymore. I'm here. I totally got it. But of course, we don't talk about that at school, but it's a good example. So moving on. With
this point that you're saying, sorry, Bernadette, but this point that you were saying is extremely important to do that you did, because this can be very damaging to the child. Oh, don't silly, you silly. And especially if he's grown up. I remember a friend of mine, she came to me and said, oh my God, this happened this morning. What is it exactly? Because she knew I was a spiritist. Her daughter, she was combing her daughter's hair, preparing her to go to school. And out of the blue, her little daughter said, Mommy, I died. I went down and I couldn't breathe under the water and I died. Oh. And she was, frightened to that. And her little brother, who was about 2 years older, said, don't be ridiculous. You are a baby. It doesn't exist. And then she started to cry, But my friend was okay. Said, oh, don't cry. And then, so, what is it? And I was telling her, maybe she's remembering a past life. Because, for that child, this is normal. It's a reality. They're not saying anything exaggerated. And if you, oh, yes, and try to listen to them, isn't it? Because I remember a friend of mine, a son, I used to read a lot for him, go out with him a lot. He was about 4 years old. And one day I was reading this story, just one of these books that you read for children. And suddenly he said, I lived in a castle before. And I said, oh, were you the king? And he turned and said, no, I told the king what to do. And he was 4 years old. He said, no, I wasn't the king. I told the king what to do. And I was flabbergasted, like, right. So, but it's important for you to listen to them. For them, it's something they're telling you, their memories, and not to be scared or frightened. It can be sometimes scared, when the child says, but because it can damage them emotionally, psychologically, because they begin to feel that they are different from others, that they are not normal. And this, is something that you needed to learn how to listen to them and not judge or say something that could be damaging to them, make them feel different, I think. What do you think, Dan? You have children, you know how to.
I think that is absolutely wonderful. And we were talking about, just out of Bernadette was saying, right, like helping us process this information and move on gives us an ability to really refocus and process that trauma, spiritually speaking, or that experience, right? And then move on to the next piece, which is this piece over here, right? Which is really wonderful. I think it's really great. And I was going to say, oh, look at that. The little kid, he was not the king, but maybe he was the queen. He was telling, the king what to do,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
We all know who the boss is, but
Exactly.
it's a wonderful thing to just take it in stride and just really understand. And then
because they don't remember, do they? They will tell you and they go on with it, and then after talk, he forgot. It was just something that came, and they forget. They will not be thinking about it all the time. So
it was a knowledge. They process it. They see the reaction. It's a normal reaction. They said, okay, it's a normal thing. I move on.
Exactly. But this is with children. Now let's go back to the family, right? Could be any member of the family. Some members have a more extensive mediumship or not, but then something's happened to this member of the family, right? It's not sleeping well. And even though you go to the doctor, we talk about the importance of look at professional help, hear voices. Yeah, it's having problem. It's having so many things. And could it be a spiritual influence? And could be so strong that is like a spiritual obsession. But what is it then? What is obsession, the way that we study in spiritism? What's going on? It's just
such a good word.
Obsessed. I'm obsessed with art because I love art. I could spend all day drawing. How can you connect this with spirituality? Help us.
#drama, right?
Yeah.
So in the spiritist context, we use the word obsession. It was first suggested by Allan Kardec, who helped us put spiritism together, as the continuous negative influence of a spirit, whether it's incarnate or discarnate. We can debate, right? So the continuous negative influence of someone over another person. We say that is a spiritual obsession.
Okay.
Right? And so it's important for us to make to make things different here, because nowadays we hear a lot about the word bullying, right? So obsession is spiritual bullying. It's what it is, right? It just makes it easy for us to understand. Now, it's also important for us to understand that sometimes we use the word bullying wrongly. Just because somebody came and was mean to you one day, at one point in time, that is not bullying. That is just being mean and difficult. Now, if they do that in a continuous way, then that is bullying, right? The same thing spiritually speaking. So if there is a continuous influence of spirits, then it is obsession. But if it's a negative influence, sometimes we just meet somebody or in traffic and driving or whatever it is, and we're not kind to them, that's not bullying. That is us just having not a great moment. But the continuing influence is what really matters. If that happens, then we need to address that, just not like we have to address bullying, right? Within Spiritism, Kardec, because he was very logical, was also really keen in differentiating the kinds of influences, the negative influences we can receive. So to make things easier for us, he broke it down in 3 different kinds of obsession. Simple obsession, which is the one that we're talking about, when people are just influencing us. Maybe I'm just being mean to Bernadette. I just really want her to do something one way. She's not, so I keep going at her and I keep working. That's a simple obsession, right? A second kind of obsession, which is the most pernicious and dangerous kind of obsession, we call fascination. That is when I influence Bernadette so much that I'm basically gaslighting her, right? And she doesn't even recognize my influence. I'm such a big bully that she cannot even contemplate the idea that somebody's influencing her, and that is very dangerous. And it's a rare form, right? Because then you're not even aware that you're being controlled or influenced, and that's we call fascination. The third one is called subjugation, and this is the one that people think it is the worst one, but it's really not. I really think that fascination, and Kardec agrees on that, is the worst one. Subjugation is when we are influenced in such a way that our physical body gets taken over for a second or two. This is the stuff that we sometimes see like really blown out of proportion in movies, you know, taking over, that kind of stuff. It happens in a more subtle way. It's really rare too. But just academically speaking, those are the three types. Most of us really don't have to worry about subjugation ever. We should keep on the lookout for the negative influence that we have and figure it out that that we need to act on them. The basic point is this.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, you talk about subjugation, and the state takes control of the body. What do you mean? There is a spirit that goes inside my body and takes control? Is it possible?
Sounds so woo, but
because
no.
I see movies.
Yes, that is the thing we say in movies. The spirit does not go inside our bodies because we are driving this body. We are the drivers of this car, right? But it does try to hitch a ride, and it does try to take on the wheel and the pedals, and maybe for a little bit it can do that if you let them, right?
So it's through your mind. How does it happen?
It is. It's a very interesting process for those who want to know more about it. If you want to dive a little bit deeper into this whole mechanics of spiritism, that's this wonderful book. The Medium's book tells us about the perispirit, which is the spiritual body of the spirit, so to speak, and is the interpreter between our physical bodies and our spirit, which we do not see. And through this contact with this perispirit, it's how we influence our bodies, for instance. It's how, you know, our body grows, how it changes. So through the perispirit, to this connection between spirits, sometimes we surrender physical control to somebody else. So it gets to be a little bit more interesting, a little bit complex. We can certainly dive into that. If you're interested to know how that works, absolutely dive into the Medium's book, which is the best and first treatise ever written about mediumship and spirit communication, right? But the important takeaway is this. You are always in control of your body and yourself. Even when you don't think you are, you always have choices, right? So I think that is the takeaway, because sometimes people feel things and they get scared and they feel like they can't do anything about it, but that is not true. You're absolutely in control of your own thoughts and actions. You can be. You just have to be reminded of that and make good choices and continue to working on that. Ask for help if that's the case. If you are seeing something more serious, or you feel like you're really worried about losing control of your physical body or anything like that, you should definitely reach out for help. You should definitely talk to the people that you care about. You should definitely reach out to maybe a spiritist group near you. And if there isn't one physically near you, there's many virtual spiritist groups, such as folks here in 𝗀𝗵𝗵𝗃, for instance, that can kind of point you in the right direction. Make sure that you know there's tons of resources if you want to learn about this. Just reach out.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Silvia?
Yes, I mean, this is a very, very, very important subject. I think the Medium's book, specifically chapter 23, that it talks about obsession. And I think that what Dan was saying, and I agree as well, you know, by the reading, the fascination is the worst, because not only the person is being terribly influenced in a negative way, but they collaborate with it. They begin to accept. And usually comes through flattery. You're better than everybody else. You know more than others. And the person begins to actually become, you know, in synchrony with it so much that they begin to accept and believe the influence, you know. So that's why it's so pernicious, because it comes to a point that this person will not listen to anyone, because they are so completely sure that they are the best, and they, you know, with all that flattery, they believe it. So that's one of the things. And obviously, you know, we are surrounded. I think Paul can't remember if it's the letter to the Corinthians, they said we are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. So there are spirits. I mean, we live in a parallel world with the spiritual world, and there are many, many, many spirits. And unless it's something that we bring from a past, that we made enemies that are trying to find us and persecute us and really, really bully us, normally we can be quite, even though we have the influence, because we can create around us, through prayer, through meditation, to kindness to others, to service to others, we can bring around us the positive influence as well, because it's not only bad, there's good ones, and we have around us the people that we like. I think Dr. Marlene used to say, tell me what you think, and I tell you who you are, walk with, because, and it's the spiritual world is actually like this world, or our world's like spiritual world. What kind of people do we have as friends? Usually are people who share ideas, who are kind to us, that you can count on them in your moment of need, so it's the same thing with the spiritual world. If the friends that we are, we send positive thoughts. If we are able to, someone does something and we feel a bit hurt or something, but not wanting vengeance, and we think, God bless them, they probably had a bad moment and that's why they did what they did. If we start having positive thoughts about people, sending them love and sending us love as well, loving ourselves, saying, I'm good, but I'm going to be better. I have the possibility of being a better person. If we do something, charitable works, if we can help someone, sometimes we think about charity and everything as something so, maybe one day just there, remember someone, just pick up the phone and say, oh, hello, I'm thinking about you. Send you thoughts of love or something, send you a little message on WhatsApp, which is so simple. But, you send a lot of love and joy. So you create around you an ambient of peace. Then the good spirits will have a place to be with you. So you'll be influenced by positiveness, by love and goodness. So the people who are around us, I know, unless, as I said, we had something from the past, which then you need some extra help, not only spiritual help, going to a spiritual center or something, but also sometimes even psychological help, medical help.
Right.
We can create around us the ambient of goodness. We receive what we give, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's something to be afraid of either.
Sylvia, I think you were describing that cartoon thing, but obviously you're doing this in a much better way. That cartoon that we maybe have seen that before, where there is a little angel on one shoulder and the little devil on the other, and we just have to listen to our better angels, right? We just have to choose which way we turn our head and listen to. And I think that is a very nice way of saying that, and saying, hey, it's really important for us to understand that we are at the driving point here, this thing, like we decide which actions we take. People can suggest things to you, but it's up to you to make those decisions. So listen to your better angels. I think that Silvia made a great case for that.
Excellent point. And now the time is getting time, Flo, we were just, it's time now to go towards the end of our wonderful chat. So from what we heard here, mediumship is this intermediate between the two planes, the material and the spiritual, right? And this is normal. We consider everybody everybody's a medium. Some people are way more extensive than others, but we all feel the influence, some predictions and things that we feel. And this is normal. This is a part of life. And we find mediumship everywhere. We find mediumship at home and with our children. And when that happens, we just treat this as something normal. Talk to the child. Don't make a big deal out of it. And it's okay to say, I don't know, son, but I'm going to find out about it. And we have so many resources. Sembradores de Luz is here to help, or you have a spiritist center in your town, right? And we have sometimes influence of spirits that Danielle called that I really love it.
The spiritual bullying, yeah.
Bullying, but if it's consistent, but it's not the end of the world. If we notice that happens, there are some tools, doing good things, praying, ask for help, and also the importance in any minute we are saying, oh, it's a mediumship. Your problem, if you're seeing or you're hearing voices, is because you're a medium. Please go to the pediatrician, go see a physician. If they prescribe you medicine, take. We are not saying, we are not doctors here, but when there is the combination of the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, it helps. So I just try to summarize a little bit that we talked today, and we invite you to listen to this again, share this video, subscribe, and I'm going to give it to each one of you a minute for your last remarks. Start with Dan. Go.
I think that you've done a great summary for us, Bernadete. I think I just want to zoom us out a little bit and remember that mediumship, it is a wonderful tool, perhaps one of the greatest proofs of God's love for us. Why? Because it lets us know firsthand that life goes on, that which we are will never stop being, even when we're no longer in the physical body. We can only communicate or sense spirits if these spirits outlive the physical body. So that should bring us a lot of joy, because the people that we care about, the people that we love, are never gone. And all the bonds that we have always crafted on this earth, the people that we care about, they continue forever. That is such a beautiful blessing. And we should take that to heart, to never be sad, because we never lose anybody. We don't lose ourselves either. We just temporarily don't see them, but we can sense them. And that is a really uplifting thing, that you know that you're never alone. And how wonderful it is that we have this ability to keep in contact with them and to get also these wonderful energies and wonderful advice and wisdom from people that are caring for us. That is so important. So I think that is one important takeaway. I think that when we are learning about mediumship, we talk about all the things that we are worried about, and we're learning how to deal with awareness, self-knowledge, and so forth. But just remember that too. There is a lot more good than there is negative out there. And so just remember that. Keep that in mind, because mediumship is a beautiful thing. It helps us grow and really step into ourselves, right? What would you do? Leave you with a question. What would you do from now on if you had brought that to your heart and know that all that you care about, all the loving people, are always going to be with you? How is your life going to be different?
Awesome. Thank you. Silvia, 1 minute. Tell us.
Everything is being said, but I just want to say, like Dan talked about the Medium's book, and chapter 23. If you want to hear about, read about obsession, it's there. It's everything. But if your parents out there who are listening to us and want to know more about children, mediumshipping children, what to do, in chapter 18 of the Medium's book talks about mediumshipping children and what the parents should do. I think this is very, it's a question 221 and 222 of the Medium's book. It can give you an idea. And for people who are not spiritists, I think just listen to the child and pay attention. And if there is a way for you to go somewhere where someone can help you, as you said, you have Sembradores de Luz, you have a lot of spiritist things on in the internet, and you can ask them. We are all mediums, whether we believe it or accept it or think that's true or not. I think life that we have is a gift from God, and we need to really live it and be kind to ourselves and be kind to others and to enjoy every moment, because we have a moment here in this school called Earth, and then we will go home to the spiritual world, because there is a real home. You know, it's like we're in a boarding, we'd be sent to a boarding school for a number of years, and then we learn a few things and go back. And those who we love, who have already gone ahead of us, you know, if we think of them with love or send them prayers and things, they visit us sometimes as well, and one day we'll be all together. So I think this is one of the blessings, that to have this understanding that life continues and you're going to see the people. It does not take away the pain of the loss, but it gives you the strength to understand that they are not lost. You will see them. So all of you there, be full of hope and love and life, because life is beautiful. We live in the most beautiful planet, and we should enjoy it every day.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Ooh, you left with a lot of good messages and things to think about it. I want to thank all of you that took the time to watch us and learn a little bit about mediumship, and maybe you are listening to this later. Please subscribe. Please share this with others, because it's a very good to educate ourselves in this matter. And as we say goodbye to you, I wanted to say that you are loved, you are good, you are important. And I'll see you next time. And our friends, just stay here one more minute as we say goodbye.
God bless everyone. God bless you.
Bye, everyone.